Welcome to today's 5-minute Bible study in the Gospel of John. Today we're beginning to look at John chapter 5. And we're going to find that in the first half of this chapter, we have the accounting of Jesus' third miraculous sign. Remember, the first two are the turning of water into wine in Cana of Galilee. And the second was also in Galilee, what we looked at the last couple of days, the healing of the official's son, the healing of the boy who was sick with a fever. Jesus spoke the word of healing, and he was healed. And now John is going to report to us the third of the signs he is telling us about, the third of the miracles, and this is going to occur in Jerusalem. Now notice how the chapter begins. Now sometime later, Jesus went up to Jerusalem for one of the Jewish festivals. Sometime later. This is sometime after the journey through Samaria, sometime after the healing of the official's son in Cana. Okay. Jesus is returning to Jerusalem after a period of time for one of the festivals. Which festival is this? Well, the last festival he was there for was Passover. That's in the spring. Now, remember, he had stayed in Jerusalem for a time after that, which was probably a few weeks maybe. And then he had traveled through Samaria to Galilee, and it indicates he had spent some time there, sometime later. So probably we're into the fall now. It seems to indicate a period of a few months at least, maybe several months. So we've probably gone from spring to fall. And if that's the case, the Jewish festival being spoken of is the Festival of Tabernacles. Now in the Jewish calendar, there are three great festivals called pilgrim festivals. And they're called pilgrim festivals because these are so important that if it's possible, you want to celebrate them in Jerusalem. You want to go on a pilgrimage to Jerusalem for these festivals. Those three festivals are Passover, the most important of them, that's in the spring, Pentecost, which occurs in early summer, and Tabernacles, which occurs in the fall. So it's in the fall, Jesus is returning to Jerusalem, it seems, for the Festival of Tabernacles. Now it's called Tabernacles because tabernacle is like a little tent, because during the celebration of this festival, Jewish people would build a tabernacle or a temporary residence, a tent-like structure, oftentimes on the roof of their homes, and they would live in it for several days to remember the time of the wilderness wandering. Very important festival. Jesus is going to Jerusalem for the Festival of Tabernacles. Now while he is there, the scene is set for this third miracle, this third sign that John is going to tell us about. Verse 2. Now there is in Jerusalem, near the sheep gate, a pool, which in Aramaic is called Bethesda, and which is surrounded by 5 covered colonnades. Now here a great number of disabled people used to lie, the blind, the lame, the paralyzed. One was there who had been an invalid for 38 years. When Jesus saw him lying there and learned that he had been in this condition for such a long time, Jesus said to him, "Do you want to get well?" Now, we're talking about this pool called Bethesda, and there's always a great number of folks around the pool who are disabled in one sense or another. Some are lame, some are paralyzed, some are blind. They have disabilities or infirmities or diseases. Why are they there? Well, now, in some of your Bibles, there will be a verse 4 included, which is in some of the ancient texts and not in all of them. That's why some translations have verse 4 and some do not. But verse 4 is a little parenthesis to explain why all of these sick people are there. So it says verse 4, if it's included in your translation, it says this: "These people were waiting for the moving of the waters. For from time to time an angel of the Lord would come down and stir up the waters. And the first one into the pool after each such disturbance would be cured of whatever disease they had." So that verse is probably a parenthesis inserted into the text to explain why all these people who are sick are there. That's why it's in some versions and not in others. That's why I said some ancient text and not in others. It's probably an insert that someone put in so everyone who read the text or read the Gospel of John would understand why is there such a large crowd of sick people around this pool. You see, there was this local legend that had developed over the years that occasionally the pool would be stirred or it would be disturbed. It was probably fed by an underground stream, and occasionally the waters would churn. And the feeling was that when that happened, the waters would have healing properties, and the first one into the pool would be healed. So all these people are there hoping they can be healed by the stirring of the water, and they can be the first one in. There's certain places in our world where people feel like there are healing waters. We know about the Lourdes, France, where it is believed that if you can get into the water there, there's possibility of healing. It's a similar kind of thing to what was going on here at this pool in Jerusalem called Bethesda. So there's all these sick people there, but one in particular draws Jesus' attention. There's a man, he's an invalid, he's lame, can't get up, and he's been in this condition, paralyzed, for 38 years, and that's a long time. Jesus sees him, knows of his condition, and goes to speak to him. And this sets the scene for this third sign, this third miracle. In tomorrow's session, we'll begin to look at the particulars of this miracle, this healing Jesus is going to give to the man. So join us next time for our 5-minute Bible study in the Gospel of John.